You think of someone and they text you. You see 11:11. You're interested in a certain topic, it starts appearing online, even if it could be in the exact moment. Have you ever had these things happen and wonder what is the underlying mechanics of the universe that causes synchronicity to happen? Today we're going to dive into these underlying connections, see how you can open your third eye and pierce and peer through the veil of how synchronicity reveals how everything is connected. So first I want to start with the word coincidence. Coincident. Coinciding incidences in space and time. The etymology of the word coincidence comes from com, which means together, and incidere, which means to fall upon. So, meaning to fall upon together in the exact same moment. And according to etymology.com, early 1600s, this would have meant the exact correspondence in substance or nature. Now, I looked at that word correspondence, and it made me think of the Hermetic principles, which are ancient principles said to have come from an enlightened being, Hermes Trismegistus, describing the nature of vibration, the nature of mind, and how that creates reality. And so I was thinking of the principle of correspondence, right? And this is where the axiom, as above, so below, as within, so without, comes from. And this is the idea that what's held within the mind, each of our thoughts have vibrations, and they come to pass on the screen of space. And that every level of existence is intricately woven together, intricately interconnected with each other. So, synchronicity could be seen as a way of peeling back the veil to see the underlying connectedness between our vibrations, our thoughts, our feelings and emotions, and our beliefs of what is creating our reality, what is manifesting in our lives. Because then you can look at synchronicity like an exact manifestation in that moment, an indicator of your vibration, of what you've been focusing on and what you've been attracting. So when I first started going through my spiritual awakening at the end of 2012, I was really looking for a deeper truth in life. A deeper truth than I had been offered growing up. And I had really struggled with the system and with school, and a lot of it didn't resonate. So I started to wake up and have this kind of third eye awakening where I started to realize that everything was connected. I started to have visions of an underlying sacred geometry or pattern of creation. And this really led me into questioning what God was, what is creator, what is creation, how does it work, how does it work with evolution, really going and shifting that programming and the mindset. And I started to look for ways specifically of how to heal certain mental imbalances. Now, I was labeled with ADHD, so I wanted to look for a natural way to heal this, and this led me to discovering something called meditation, which I had never heard of. Nobody around me talked about it or really practiced it. And so I started to get really fascinated with this, and I started to practice meditation. I started to practice mindfulness and get into these states of peace, and I started to access my inner genius. I just felt like it was the part of myself that was just really smart. And I wondered why that was when I was in this state of calm, because I had always struggled with anxiety. And I'm like, well, here's a tool that you can use naturally within your own awareness that everyone has access to. Why wasn't I taught that? That question led me to the next question, and the next question, and the next question. It opened up the rabbit hole and led me on a series of synchronicities where I began studying these things. I became fascinated. So fascination is another way that the law of attraction works to bring you synchronicities. When you become fascinated with something, you're playing a call and response game with the universe. So then as I started practicing meditation, I found out about chakras, I found out about energy. I was like, what everything in the universe is made of energy and vibration. I started attracting stuff about quantum physics. I started researching these, ancient metaphysical principles that have been described in nearly every culture, and began me interested in the ancient wisdom and how that merged with the leading thought. Became interested in listening to different thought leaders and seeing how the dots would connect between the idea of like mindfulness and your state of consciousness, and how you could shift that and how you would change what you're attracting in your life. Well, yeah, synchronicity is happening all the time. Synchronicity is a normal thing. And then what I realized is that the more that I started becoming fascinated and I was on this search, this became a truth seeker, right? More of these things started to come to me. More of the books and more of the information, more of the opportunities, which I'll get to in a bit, that would change my life, started to appear right in front of me. And this brought me to a passage from the book of Matthew. Ask and it will be given to you. Seek and you shall find. Knock and the door will be open to you. Now, in the law of attraction, we learn that as you ask, it is given. That is the true meaning behind the technology of prayer. You could also replace it with meditation. It doesn't really matter what you call it. It's the fact that your consciousness is linked to the all and is an expression of whatever you've got ongoing vibrationally. So when you're asking for something, you're knocking at the universal door, and then the universe is going to start to bring you synchronicities. And that's when I started noticing 1111, 333. Even right now, I've been practicing this manifestation book called Project 369, which has been helping me get way super into the flow, way more focused on what I'm creating, what I'm manifesting as a conscious creator, and shifting on the level of identity. And they go into the principle of 3, 6, and 9. And this essentially shows that any numbers that repeat 3 times add up to 3. 3 ones is 3. 222 is 6. 333 is 9. So on and so forth. And that 3, 6, and 9 also is underlying these healing sounds such as the solfeggio frequency. And 3, 6, and 9 is the way that sacred geometry unfolds. This sacred geometry right here, the flower of life, this is the same way that the flower's petals blossom. It's the same way that a baby's cells divide in the womb. There is an underlying pattern of creation of how things organize themselves from the divine mind into form. And the more that I started to see this, I realized, does synchronicity show us that Source answers our questions? And that there's something that's linking us to this divine pattern of the universe of creation? That there's, in fact, a doorway of a realm of direct communication with the divine. And that through synchronicities, they're happening, right? And you're noticing that these are signs, confirmations that are coming to answer your questions. Because as you're knocking at the door, the answers are starting to come to you. You're seeing this underlying divine pattern in your life. And this is showing that in your everyday life, that the law of attraction is at work. You're seeing it as confirmation. So a practice of how you can apply these practical metaphysics in your life is to begin to focus on what interests you. Pick something easy. Pick something that it doesn't feel too far off, right? And see how the universe will start to attract synchronicities around it. Say, focus on a topic that interests you. For example, one time I focused on dolphins. I focused on how interesting it is that dolphins communicate sonically through the ocean, or I had heard stories of people communicating with dolphins. Or one time I was in a meditation and I went into this realm where I felt like I was a Pleiadian and I was connected with this dolphin intelligence, and it was connected to the ocean and like crystals and vibration. And I was just interested in that experience that I had, right? So I started focusing on how I liked dolphins, right? I let it go, obviously. If you pick something easy that you're not attached to, it's so easy to just let it go and forget about it. And then one day after this, very shortly after, within the next couple of days, my next door neighbor comes to me and says, I really feel like I should give you this book. and it was a book about dolphin communication, right? There's an easy example. Pick something that interests you. Use the principle of fascination. And then, since you're not attached to it, these are easy things. Esther Hicks, who, is the channel of Abraham, talks about how she would go on these trips with her friends, and she would just make these long lists of things that would be really cool if they happened, but they didn't really it didn't matter whether or not they happened. And, it would be run into a friend, or have this type of food, or they would just pick different experiences. And they would see how many of them they can check off the list, or focus on the color, right? One time she went and she was giving a phone session back when she still did that, and they were trying to tell the woman that they were coaching to focus on blue glass and butterflies, and the woman wasn't having it. Then later that day, she was with Jerry, and they went to a shop, and the shop had all these intricate blue glass bottles. She didn't connect the dot. All this blue glass art, sorry. And then she went, to the ocean. It was blue glass, feathers, and butterflies. And then she went to the ocean, and a little kid walks up and hands her a feather, and I think a butterfly flies by. Right? These are examples of, if you focus on these things, synchronicities will start to happen. Like me with the dolphin thing. I was focusing, I didn't really need there to be a dolphin synchronicity. You know what I mean? It was just something that I was interested in. So it's kind of tapping back into that childlike wonder. And then you'll start to see that, these are manifestations. Even if they're not these massive, make all this certain amount of money in a certain amount of time. It's if you focus on these little things, you'll start to see the magic of synchronicity happening in your everyday life. And actually, having fun while doing that builds the manifestation muscle, because it is all that. Now, another thing about synchronicity, it's a reflection of you and who you're being. It's a reflection of where you're at on your journey. It's direct guidance that's coming through. And synchronicities come as a reflection of that, of who you're being, the identity you're holding in relationship to everyone else. Now, obviously, somebody who's doing what they're passionate about is going to have different synchronicities than someone that's not, who's just going to that job that they don't like. You're going to have different synchronicities. Now, the real question is, well, how do I get from that synchronicity to the synchronicity of where I'm doing what I love? How do you change the synchronicities? Well, you're going to change on the level of identity, because you get in life a reflection of who you're being, who you're embodying, because the vibration, remember the principle of correspondence, as within, so without. So when you see a synchronicity, you could easily ask, what state of consciousness am I in right now? What is that a reflection of? What was I thinking about leading up into this? What have I been feeling, right, to attract this? And this will start to put it in a greater context. And again, the negative things that happen in our life are also synchronicities. So it's all about how you're reframing it. It's all about how you're looking at it. And even that, you can say, well, why did that come to me? It's obviously a reflection of something that's been going on inside of myself vibrationally. How can I clear that up? Use it as data. The more that you use it as data, think of these synchronicities. Think of them neutrally for a moment as just simply data that is coming back to you from the field. If you treat them that way, then you can glean and glance the contrasts and information and use it to change your focus. You can choose to focus more on what interests you, what fascinates you, what you're passionate about. You can say I didn't really like that synchronicity. What is that trying to show me? Whereas you put your attention, your energy flows. So the synchronicities, certain things will start to pop up. Pay attention to those, right? Because those are each rabbit holes that could be the next step. That could be another sign that's coming to you that's helping you embody this new version of yourself. Another example, when I started to identify as a coach, as I started to want to share my gifts and my energy with other people, right? I started to attract people to work with. And they would come through synchronicity, and they would often be dealing with certain things that were reflections of things that I dealt with in my life, like finding my voice or finding my purpose or feeling a lack of confidence or certainty, or how to tune into their inner guidance, or how to work through the energy blocks. And I could also feel their energy. Now, what is this saying? We're all connected, right? We're not separate. Quantum physics has already showed us what the ancient wisdom knows, that everything is connected on every conceivable level. Everything is connected in the quantum field. And everything is happening non-locally, so you're connected to different people and different events across space and time. And multidimensionally, as you're connecting to your higher self, realizing that we're all one consciousness that has individualized into these different expressions, and so we are reflections of that consciousness. And that through what you're tuning into the collective consciousness of other people that are also tuning into that, and you're living inside of a field of synchronicity that's based on that, connected in these different morphic fields or different energy fields of a collective consciousness. And then you start to attract synchronicities of other people that are also interested in that. So what if synchronicity is a doorway into the realms of the divine field, the divine mind? And there are markers and moments along unfoldments of space and time that reveal a deeper meaning of life. Now, there's a reason why people come into your life. So start noticing that. Start noticing that there's a reason why certain things pop up into your life. If you don't like the synchronicities that are happening, use it as data. Start to focus on what interests you and what you're passionate about. Even as you're focusing on your own awakening journey, right? You've attracted this video. It's all a mirror, it's a co-creation. Even me creating this video is a co-creation with you of what you're calling in or what you're resonating with. So, something else I wanted to come around to is that there's an electromagnetic field emanating from our heart center, also known as our aura, that connects us to everything through the field, or through the ethers, or through vibration. So what if when you have synchronicities happening, they're showing you energetic information that you're connected to based on how you're vibrating? So that's how you can notice synchronicities happening are showing an energy that you have going on within yourself. And learning to read that information, read that data, is a skill of honing into your intuition and of opening your vision to a higher consciousness. And the more that you hone into that, that is how you open your third eye to reveal the underlying workings of synchronicity, to reveal the internal guidance that is bringing you. And as you start to do that, you start to see this underlying pattern of creation, this divine symmetry working through your life. You realize that everything's happening in perfect space and time. So just to bring it all full circle, synchronicity. Chronos is time. Sync is synchronized. Synchronized time. Synchronicity is living in divine timing. So, I believe that the best way to get into divine timing is to step into activating your highest timeline. And this is the version of you that is living your purpose in life, that is fulfilled and manifesting the life of your dreams from the inside out. And I have created a meditation to help you connect into your divine imagination, open your third eye, and connect to this version of yourself. And I invite you to try it on the channel. Step into your highest timeline. You can check that out here. Thanks, guys. If you got value from this video, please hit the thumbs up. Leave a comment. How are you seeing synchronicities in your life unfolding? Is there one that happened recently? Maybe this video was that for you. And again, if you haven't already subscribed, I invite you to do so, because when you hit that bell notification, you will be notified, as we are devoted to helping you stay tuned into alignment. Peace, and I will see you guys on the next one.